I was 3 drinks into celebrating my biggest courtroom win when I met Adrian Lupo, though I didn't know his last name yet. All I knew was he had dark eyes that seemed to see through my carefully constructed professional armor and a smile that made me forget I'd sworn off men after my disaster of a relationship with Marcus finally ended 6 months ago. The bar was in Tribeca, all exposed brick and craft cocktails, packed with lawyers and finance types unwinding after another brutal New York week. My colleague, Jennifer, had dragged me out, said I needed to stop working 70-hour weeks and remember I was 29 years old, not 60. So there I was, wearing a dress instead of a suit for the first time in months, feeling the pleasant buzz of vodka and victory, when Adrian appeared at my elbow and said, "You look like someone who just won something important." I turned to look at him properly. Tall, maybe 6'2", dark hair pushed back from a face that was handsome in an old-world way. Strong jaw, Roman nose, the kind of features that belonged in Renaissance paintings. He wore a simple black sweater and jeans, but somehow made it look elegant, expensive. I said, "How can you tell?" "You're celebrating, but you're doing it carefully. Like you're still on guard even when you're supposed to be relaxed. That's the look of someone who wins by being smarter than everyone else and can't quite turn it off." He gestured to the bartender. "Let me buy you another drink. You can tell me what you won and I'll tell you if you're impressive or just think you are." I should have been offended. Instead, I laughed. "That's quite an opening line. Is it working?" "Maybe. Buy me a drink and I'll let you know." He ordered me another vodka tonic, got himself whiskey neat, and we moved to a quieter corner. His name was Adrian, he said. He worked in import-export, family business, mostly boring logistics and paperwork. He'd grown up in the city, still lived here even though most of his family had moved to the suburbs. Never married, no kids, spent too much time working and not enough time actually living. I told him I was Sophia Reyes, criminal defense attorney, just won an impossible case defending a man accused of fraud who'd actually been framed by his business partner. 3 years of work came down to one piece of evidence I'd found buried in discovery that proved the whole prosecution case was built on manufactured documents. The jury had deliberated for 4 hours and come back with not guilty on all counts. Adrian said, "You defend criminals." "I defend people accused of crimes. There's a difference." "Is there?" "Always. Everyone deserves a defense, even the guilty ones. Especially the guilty ones, because if they don't get good representation, the whole system falls apart." I sipped my drink. "You think that's wrong?" "I think it's idealistic, but I like idealists. They make the world more interesting." He studied me over his glass. "You grew up believing in justice. Is that obvious?" "You have the look, like you still think the system can work if everyone just tries hard enough. It's admirable. Naive, but admirable." "And you don't believe the system works?" "I believe the system works for people who know how to work the system. Everyone else is just hoping." He smiled, taking the edge off the cynicism. "But I'm being too serious for a Friday night. Tell me something that isn't about work. Tell me something real." So I did. Told him about growing up in Queens, daughter of immigrants who'd worked themselves to exhaustion so I could go to good schools. About my mother who cleaned houses and my father who drove a cab, and how they'd both cried when I got into Columbia Law. About Marcus, my ex, who'd been a prosecutor and had hated that I defended the people he put away. How that tension had poisoned everything until we'd finally admitted we wanted different things. Adrian listened, like he actually cared, asked questions that made me talk more than I'd planned, and somewhere around drink 4, I realized I was enjoying myself more than I had in months. When Jennifer finally came to drag me home, Adrian asked for my number. I gave it to him, something I never did with bar pickups, because there was something about him that felt different. Dangerous maybe, but in a good way, in a way that made my careful, controlled life seem suddenly too small. He texted the next morning. "Dinner tonight? I promise to be less cynical and more charming." We had dinner at a small Italian place in the West Village, then coffee the next afternoon. Then a walk through Central Park the day after that. Within 2 weeks, we were seeing each other almost every day, fitting our schedules together like puzzle pieces, stealing hours between my court appearances and his vague business meetings. Adrian was unlike anyone I'd dated. He was attentive without being clingy. interested in my work without being threatened by it, comfortable with silence, but engaging when we talked. He had money. That was obvious from his clothes, his watch, the way he never looked at prices, but he didn't flaunt it. He was educated, but not pretentious, well-traveled, but not condescending about it, and he was private, intensely private. He never talked about his family beyond surface details, deflected questions about his work, kept his phone face down and on silent when we were together. I noticed it but didn't push, figured everyone had boundaries, and God knows I had my own walls after Marcus. 3 weeks in, he took me to his apartment in Soho. It was beautiful, exposed beams, original hardwood, furniture that was clearly expensive but understated, books in Italian and English, art that looked real, a kitchen that was actually used. We had wine on his couch and talked about everything and nothing, and when he finally kissed me, it felt like something clicking into place, like recognition. We slept together that night. He was careful, attentive, intense in a way that made me feel seen and wanted and safe all at once. Afterward, lying in his bed with city lights filtering through the windows, he traced the line of my shoulder and said, "I should tell you something." Okay. My family is complicated. Very old world, very traditional. They have expectations about who I spend time with, who I'm seen with. I haven't told them about you yet because I wanted to keep this just ours for a while. Is that okay? You're ashamed of me. No, God, no. The opposite. I'm protecting you from them. He pulled me closer. They're going to have opinions, strong opinions, about your background, your work, everything. I'm not ready to deal with that yet. I'm not ready to share you. I should have asked more questions, should have wondered what kind of family required protection from, should have seen the red flags waving. But I was falling for him, fast and stupid, and I wanted to believe it was just normal family drama, the kind every couple deals with. A month into our relationship, everything shattered. I was working late at my office in Midtown, preparing for a trial that started Monday, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. A man's voice, rough and urgent. Is this Sophia Reyes? Who's asking? You need to come to 347 West 28th Street right now. It's about Marcus Chen. He's been hurt. My stomach dropped. Marcus, my ex. We'd been broken up for 6 months, but we'd dated for 3 years before that. Had tried to stay friendly, even though it was awkward. What happened? Is he okay? Just come, now, apartment 4B. He hung up before I could ask more questions. I grabbed my bag, my heart racing, took an Uber to the address. It was a warehouse building in Chelsea, half residential, half commercial. The kind of place that looked abandoned, but cost $3 million for a loft. The front door was propped open. I took the stairs to the 4th floor, found 4B with the door slightly ajar. Every instinct screamed this was wrong, but I pushed the door open anyway. The apartment was dark, except for light from the street coming through industrial windows. I saw shapes, furniture, and then I saw Marcus on the floor near the windows, his white shirt dark with blood, his eyes open and empty. I screamed, dropped my bag, started toward him even though I could see he was dead, was obviously dead, had been dead for a while from the way the blood had spread and dried. Behind me, someone grabbed my arm. I spun, ready to fight, and found myself looking at a man who had Adrian's eyes and Adrian's nose, but none of Adrian's warmth. He was older, maybe 40, dressed in an expensive suit with blood on the cuffs. He said, "Sophia Reyes, Adrian's little lawyer, you shouldn't have come here. Let go of me." I tried to pull away, but his grip was iron. "Can't do that. You're a witness now. That makes you a problem." He looked past me at Marcus's body with no emotion at all. "Your ex-boyfriend was stealing from us. We gave him chances to make it right. He didn't take them. So we made an example. You killed him. I handled a business problem, and now you're a business problem too." He pulled out his phone with his free hand, made a call. "Adrian, get to the 28th Street property, now. We have a situation with your girlfriend." 20 minutes later, Adrian arrived, his face pale, his eyes wild when he saw me standing there with his brother's hand on my arm and Marcus's body on the floor. He said, "Lorenzo, what the fuck did you do?" What you were too soft to do. Handled the Chen problem. Except your little lawyer got curious when someone called about her ex being hurt. Now she's seen everything, and we need to decide what happens next. Adrian looked at me, something breaking in his expression. Sophia, I'm so sorry. You weren't supposed to be anywhere near this. What is this? Who are you people? But even as I said it, pieces were clicking together. The expensive lifestyle with no clear job. The private family with strong opinions. The way Adrian never talked about his work. Lorenzo laughed, cold and harsh. He didn't tell you? Figures. Adrian always was the soft one, trying to pretend he's civilian. He looked at Adrian. You want to explain, or should I? Adrian's voice was hollow. My family name is Lupo. We run most of the organized distribution and protection operations in Manhattan and Brooklyn. My father is head of the family. Lorenzo is his second. I'm the youngest, the one they let pretend to be legitimate because someone needs to manage the legal businesses. You're Mafia. The word felt absurd saying out loud, like something from a movie. You're in the fucking mob and you didn't tell me. I wanted to. I tried to find the right time. The right time to tell me you're a criminal, that your family murders people. I looked at Marcus, felt bile rise. Why? Why was he stealing from you? What did he do? Lorenzo said, he was a prosecutor. We had him on payroll, paid him good money to make cases disappear or go the wrong way. He got greedy, started taking money and not delivering. Then he threatened to expose the whole operation if we didn't pay him more. We couldn't allow that. So you killed him. So I handled it, and now Adrian gets to decide what we do with you. Lorenzo finally let go of my arm, stepped back. She's a witness to a murder. She knows about the family. We can't just let her walk. Options are limited. Adrian moved between me and his brother, his body tense. You're not touching her. Then what's your solution? We can't have a defense attorney who knows about us running around. She'll either go to the police or she'll become a liability. Unless... Lorenzo smiled, cold and calculating. Unless she becomes family, marry her, make her one of us. Then she's protected by omerta, can't testify against family, and everyone wins. That's insane. That's practical. You wanted her anyway. I saw the way you've been acting these past weeks, all lovesick and distracted. So marry her, make it official. Bring her into the family properly. I found my voice, shaking but steady. I'm not marrying anyone. I'm a witness to a murder, and I'm going to the police. Lorenzo pulled a gun from inside his jacket, casual as anything. No, you're not. You're going to sit down and be quiet while the adults figure out how to clean up this mess. If you try to leave or scream or do anything stupid, I'll shoot you and we'll dump you with your ex. Adrian will be sad for a while, but he'll get over it. Adrian said, Put the gun away, now. Why? You got a better solution. Yes. Give me 48 hours. I'll talk to her, explain everything, make her understand why going to the police is suicide for both of us. I'll fix this without anyone else dying. Lorenzo considered this, then lowered the gun. 48 hours. You don't convince her, she disappears. And Adrian, convince her to marry you while you're at it. Father wants you settled anyway. This solves multiple problems. He left. Just walked out like he hadn't just murdered someone and threatened to kill me. Like it was another day at the office. I stood there shaking, staring at Marcus's body, trying to process everything that had just happened. Adrian reached for me, and I jerked away. Don't touch me. Sophia, please, let me explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me since we met, that your family kills people, that my ex is dead because he tried to play games with the mob. I felt hysteria building, tamped it down. I need to leave. I need to go to the police. If you do that, we both die. Lorenzo wasn't bluffing. The family doesn't allow loose ends. You go to the police, you sign both our death warrants. Then what am I supposed to do? Pretend I didn't see this. Marry you and become a mob wife. Live with the fact that your brother murdered Marcus. I know how this sounds. I know you have no reason to trust me. But Sophia, I love you. That wasn't a lie. Everything between us was real. I just didn't tell you about my family because I was trying to protect you from exactly this. You don't get to say you love me. Not now. Not after this. Fair. but it's still true." He ran a hand through his hair, looking as wrecked as I felt. "Let me take you somewhere safe. We'll talk, really talk. I'll answer every question. Then you decide what you want to do. And if I decide I want to go to the police anyway, then I'll help you disappear first. Get you somewhere the family can't find you. I won't let Lorenzo hurt you, even if it means turning against my own blood." I looked at him, searching for the lie, finding only exhaustion and fear, and something that looked like genuine desperation. I was a defense attorney. I'd spent my career reading people, knowing when they were lying, when they were telling the truth. Adrian was telling the truth now, however terrible that truth was. I said, 48 hours, but not at your place, somewhere neutral, and you tell me everything." He nodded, relief flooding his face. "There's a hotel in Connecticut, small place, off the grid. We'll go there. I'll tell you everything. And Sophia, I know you don't believe this right now, but I will keep you safe, whatever it takes." We left Marcus's body there. Adrian made calls, short and cryptic, probably to people who'd cleaned the scene. We took his car, drove in silence for 2 hours to a small boutique hotel in the woods outside Hartford. He checked us in under a fake name, paid cash, got us a suite with 2 bedrooms. Inside, I finally broke. Sat on the couch and cried for Marcus, for my life that had been normal 48 hours ago, for the stupidity of falling for a man I'd never really known. Adrian sat across from me, close enough to reach but not touching, letting me fall apart. When I finally ran out of tears, I said, "Tell me, everything, from the beginning." So he did. Told me about the Lupo family, 5 generations in organized crime, how his great-great-grandfather had started with protection rackets in Little Italy and built an empire that now touched everything from construction to waste management to drugs. How his father, Carmine Lupo, ran the operation with brutal efficiency. How his older brother, Lorenzo, was being groomed to take over, was made from the same cold, calculating cloth as their father. How Adrian was the youngest, the disappointment, the one who'd wanted to go legitimate but had been pulled back in because family was everything. "I tried to leave," he said. "After college, I moved to California, tried to build a life that wasn't this. My father let me go for 2 years. Then my uncle was killed by a rival family, and suddenly they needed every Lupo back in New York. Said it was temporary, just until things settled. That was 8 years ago." "Why didn't you leave again?" "Because they made it clear I couldn't. Because there's no leaving this family alive unless you have permission. Because I was stupid enough to think I could straddle both worlds, manage the legitimate businesses during the day, pretend the family business didn't exist at night." He looked at me. "Then I met you, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe, like I could be someone other than Carmine Lupo's disappointment of a son. So you lied to me. So I tried to protect you from knowing. I knew if you found out the truth you'd run, and I wasn't ready to lose you." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to understand that everything I felt for you was real. The lie was about who I am, not about what I felt." I wanted to throw something at him, wanted to scream, wanted to rewind 6 weeks and never go to that bar, never meet him, never fall for a man who was exactly what my mother had warned me about, beautiful and dangerous and wrong. Instead, I said, "Why did your brother kill Marcus?" "Because Marcus was a problem. He'd been on the payroll for 3 years, helped make cases disappear in exchange for money. Then he got ambitious, tried to extort more, threatened to go public. Lorenzo decided to make an example." Adrian's voice was flat, exhausted. "I didn't know he was planning it. He acts independently sometimes, cleans up problems without telling anyone until after. If I'd known, I would have tried to stop it." "Would you have been able to?" "Probably not, but I would have tried." "And now your brother wants me to marry you. Now the family sees you as both a threat and an opportunity. You're a threat because you're a witness. You're an opportunity because marrying me into a legitimate family, to a successful lawyer, gives us more credibility. Makes us look respectable. He met my eyes. I won't force you. If you want to run, I'll help you disappear. If you want to fight, I'll fight with you. But Sophia, if you marry me, you're protected. You become untouchable, and we'd have time to figure out an actual solution. An actual solution? Like what? Taking down your entire family? Maybe? I don't know, but married to me, you're safe while we figure it out. I laughed, bitter and sharp. This is insane. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I'm supposed to believe in the system, and you're asking me to marry into the mob to avoid being murdered for witnessing a crime your brother committed? I know how it sounds. Do you? Because it sounds like every nightmare my mother warned me about. It sounds like throwing away everything I've worked for. It sounds like becoming exactly the kind of person I've spent my career defending but never understanding. I know. His voice was quiet, broken. I know what I'm asking is impossible. But you have 48 hours. Use them. Think about your options. Ask me anything. And then decide. I spent those 48 hours interrogating him like he was a hostile witness. Asked about every crime the family committed, every murder, every illegal operation. Asked how many people had died on his family's orders. Asked if he'd ever killed anyone. He answered everything, unflinching, giving me the ugly truth I needed to make a decision. The answer to that last question was yes. Once, 7 years ago. A rival family member who'd tried to kill Lorenzo. Adrian had shot him in self-defense, but the man had died, and Adrian had never forgiven himself. I asked if he'd ever tried to go to the police. Once, I talked to an FBI agent, told him I wanted to cooperate. He said they'd need evidence, testimony, time to build a case. Said I'd probably have to testify in open court, that my whole family would go to prison, that I'd spend the rest of my life in witness protection. Adrian looked at me. I couldn't do it. Couldn't send my mother to prison, my younger cousins who are barely adults. So I walked away from the meeting and never went back. But you kept copies, evidence. Yes, insurance, in case I ever needed leverage. He pulled out. His phone showed me encrypted files. 5 years of documents, recordings, transactions. Enough to bury the entire operation. I keep it backed up in 3 places the family doesn't know about. Why are you showing me this? Because if you marry me, this becomes yours too. Leverage, protection, a way out if we ever need it. The 48 hours ended with me no closer to a decision. I called my office, said I had a family emergency and needed a week. Called my mother and lied about being fine. Sat in that hotel room and tried to weigh impossible choices. Option 1, go to the police, tell them everything, hope they could protect me before Lorenzo found me. Watch Adrian and his family go to prison. Spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, probably in witness protection. Definitely disbarred, because how could I practice law after being involved in a mob murder? Option 2, run, take Adrian's help, disappear, start over somewhere with a new name and a new life. Give up my career, my family, everything I'd worked for, spend forever hiding. Option 3, marry Adrian, become a Lupo, accept the protection that came with being family, use the time to figure out a real solution. Live with the knowledge that I was complicit in everything the family did from that point forward. All 3 options were terrible. All 3 meant losing something I couldn't get back. On the 3rd day, Adrian's phone rang. He looked at the screen, his face going pale. It's Lorenzo. Time's up. He answered, put it on speaker. Lorenzo's voice, cold and amused. Little brother, your 48 hours are done. What's the verdict? Is she getting married or getting buried? Adrian looked at me. The decision was mine. I thought about Marcus, dead on a warehouse floor. Thought about my mother cleaning houses so I could go to law school. Thought about justice and the system and how neither had saved Marcus or would save me. Thought about Adrian, who was a criminal and a liar, but who'd also looked at me like I was worth protecting, even when it cost him everything. I took the phone from Adrian's hand. I said, I'll marry him, but I have conditions. Lorenzo laughed. Conditions? You're not exactly in a position to negotiate, sweetheart. I'm a defense attorney. Negotiation is what I do. I kept my voice steady. I'll marry Adrian. I'll keep my mouth shut about what I saw. I'll become a Lupo. But I continue practicing law. I don't get involved in family business. I'm not laundering money, or defending your people, or becoming part of the operation. I'm just Adrian's wife. That's it. And if we need legal help, then you hire someone else. I'm not your family lawyer. I'm family. There's a difference. Silence on the other end. Then, fine. You want to play civilian? Play civilian. As long as you keep quiet and don't cause problems. But Sophia, if you ever betray this family, if you ever go to the police or wear a wire or try to flip, we'll know, and we'll handle it. Understand? Perfectly. Good. Welcome to the family. We'll have an engagement party next week. Father will want to meet you properly. He hung up. I set down the phone, my hands shaking. Adrian was staring at me like he couldn't believe what had just happened. He said, "You didn't have to do that." Yes, I did. Running would mean giving up everything. Going to the police would mean dying. This is the only option that lets me keep any part of my life. I looked at him. I'm not doing this because I forgive you. I'm doing this because it's the least terrible choice. And I'm doing it because you were right. Married to you, I have time to figure out a real solution. What kind of solution? I don't know yet, but I'm a lawyer. I fight impossible cases. I find evidence everyone else misses. I will find a way out of this that doesn't end with either of us dead or in prison. I stood up, tried to feel as confident as I was trying to sound. But Adrian, if I'm doing this, we do it on my terms. We get married, we play the part, and we build a case against your family from the inside. Use that evidence you've been collecting. Find more, and when we have enough, we burn it all down and walk away clean. That could take years. Then we take years, but I'm not spending the rest of my life complicit in murder and criminal enterprise. I'm going to find justice for Marcus, for everyone your family has hurt, and you're going to help me. He looked at me like I was either the bravest or stupidest person he'd ever met. Maybe both. Finally, he nodded. Okay, we play the long game. We build the case. We take down the family. He reached for my hand, careful, and when I didn't pull away, he held it gently. For what it's worth, I think you're incredible. Terrifying, but incredible. Good, you should be terrified. Because if you betray me, if you choose your family over this plan, I will make sure you all go down. Understood. Understood. We got married 3 weeks later. Small ceremony, just immediate family, in a restaurant the Lupos owned in Little Italy. I wore white, even though it felt like a lie, stood next to Adrian and promised to love and honor and obey, while his father watched with calculating eyes and his brother smirked like he'd won something. My mother cried, thinking these were happy tears, not knowing her daughter had just married into organized crime to avoid being murdered. The reception was worse. Endless introductions to people who ran gambling operations and protection rackets and worse, all of them kissing my cheeks and welcoming me to the family. Like this was normal. Lorenzo made a toast about how Adrian had finally grown up and settled down with a beautiful, intelligent woman who would be an asset to the family. I smiled and thanked him and imagined him in prison. Adrian's father, Carmine, pulled me aside after dinner. He was shorter than his sons, stocky and gray-haired, with eyes that missed nothing. He said, "My son tells me you're smart, that you understand how things work." I'm a fast learner. Good, because being a Lupo wife requires certain understandings. Loyalty to family above everything. Silence about family business. Trust that when we do things that seem harsh, we do them because we must. He patted my hand, the gesture almost paternal. Adrian is soft. Always has been. Tried to be legitimate, tried to pretend he wasn't one of us. But you're smart enough to know the truth. You're one of us now. And that means you benefit from our protection, but you also accept our way of doing things. I wanted to throw his hand off me. Instead, I smiled. I understand completely. Family first. Good girl. He kissed my forehead. Welcome to the family, Sophia. I spent my wedding night in Adrian's Soho apartment, now officially our home. We stood in the bedroom, both of us in our wedding clothes, both of us exhausted. Adrian said, "I'll sleep on the couch, give you space." "Don't be stupid. We're married now. We share a bed." I started taking off the expensive jewelry his family had loaded me with. "But Adrian, this isn't real. Not yet. Maybe not ever. We're partners in a very long con. That's it." "I know. Do you? Because you looked at me during those vows like you meant them." "I did mean them. I love you. I know you don't believe it, but it's true." He loosened his tie, sat on the edge of the bed. "I also know I've destroyed any chance of you loving me back. So I'll take what I can get. Partnership. Alliance. Whatever you want to call it. And maybe someday, if we survive this, you'll forgive me." I didn't answer. Just finished undressing, put on a t-shirt, got into bed on my side. Adrian took the other side, careful not to touch me, and we lay there in the dark like strangers. Over the next 6 months, I learned to be a Lupo wife. Attended family dinners where crimes were discussed over pasta, like they were legitimate business. Smiled at charity events where dirty money was laundered through respectable causes. Played the role of the intelligent, beautiful daughter-in-law who made the family look modern and legitimate. And I gathered evidence. Copied documents Adrian brought home. Recorded conversations at family dinners using a pen that was actually a microphone. Built relationships with the family's lawyer and accountant. Asked innocent questions that gave me insight into how the operation worked. Slowly, methodically, built a case that could bring down the entire organization. Adrian helped. He gave me access to his files, introduced me to people who could provide testimony, pointed me toward the family's vulnerabilities. We worked together in secret, our partnership evolving from hostility to something warmer, something that felt almost like trust. We also started living as a real couple. Not because we planned it, but because proximity and shared purpose broke down walls. We had dinner together, talked about our days, fell asleep side by side more nights than not. He made me coffee the way I liked it. I learned his tells when family dinners stressed him out. We became friends, partners, something more than enemies, but not quite lovers. Until one night, about 8 months after the wedding, when we'd just finished a successful evidence-gathering operation. I'd copied the family's entire financial database while Adrian distracted Lorenzo. We came home buzzing with adrenaline and success. We'd opened wine, celebrated quietly, and somewhere between the second glass and the third, we'd ended up kissing. It was different from the careful distance we'd maintained. Desperate and real, and built on months of watching each other's backs. We ended up in bed, finally crossing the line we'd been dancing around. And it was intense in a way that made me realize I'd been lying to myself. I'd forgiven him somewhere along the way. Had fallen for him again, or maybe still, despite everything. Afterward, lying tangled together, he said, "This doesn't have to change anything. It already has. Sophia, I love you. I don't want to. I probably shouldn't. But I do." I looked at him. "I love you, and I'm still going to destroy your family. Can you live with that?" He kissed my shoulder, pulled me closer. "Yes, because you're right. They deserve it, and I'd rather have you than them." We kept working. The evidence mounted. Financial records, recordings, testimony from people Adrian convinced to cooperate. 12 months into the marriage, we had enough to bring down not just the Lupo family, but half the organized crime operations in New York. The question was how to use it without ending up dead. The answer came from an unexpected source. Lorenzo. He showed up at our apartment one night without warning, his face pale, his hands shaking. "Adrian, I need help. Real help." We let him in, both of us tense and ready for violence. But Lorenzo wasn't there to threaten us. He was there because he was terrified. "Father's going senile," he said, "making bad decisions, starting wars we can't win." He ordered a hit on the Castellano family. The entire family, including the kids. "I can't do it. I won't do it. But if I refuse, he'll see it as betrayal. He'll have me killed." Adrian said, "What are you asking?" "Help me take him down. We go to the FBI. We turn state's evidence. We bury the whole operation and get immunity in exchange." Lorenzo looked at me. "You're a lawyer. You understand how this works. Can we cut a deal? Can we walk away from this?" I said, "Why now? Why after all these years?" "Because he's gotten worse, more violent, more unstable. I've done terrible things for this family, but I won't murder children. There has to be a line." He ran his hand through his hair. "I know you hate me. I killed your ex. I threatened you. I'm a monster. But I'm trying to be less of one. Help me." I looked at Adrian. We had a silent conversation, weighing risks and possibilities, and whether Lorenzo could be trusted. Finally, I said, "I'll make a call." 3 days later, we were sitting in a federal building in Lower Manhattan with an FBI agent, a federal prosecutor, and enough evidence to dismantle the Lupo crime family and a dozen associated operations. Lorenzo had brought his own evidence, decades worth of insider knowledge. Adrian provided the financial records and documented crimes. I tied it all together with legal expertise, showing them exactly how to build an ironclad case. The prosecutor said, "This is incredible. This is potentially the biggest organized crime bust in New York history. But I need to be clear. Testifying against your own family means witness protection. New identities, new lives. You'll never see your family again. Never use your real names again. Are you prepared for that?" Lorenzo said yes without hesitation. Adrian looked at me, the question in his eyes. I thought about my career, my mother, my life as Sofia Reyes. Thought about justice for Marcus. Thought about all the victims of the Lupo family crimes. Thought about Adrian, who'd helped me build this case even knowing it would destroy his entire life. I said, "Yes, we're ready." The trials took 18 months. I testified, Adrian testified, Lorenzo testified. We watched from safe houses as Carmine Lupo and 37 members of his organization were convicted on charges ranging from racketeering to murder. Life sentences, all of them. The Lupo empire dismantled piece by piece. My law license was suspended pending investigation into how much I'd known about the family business. I'd probably never practice in New York again. My mother was devastated. Couldn't understand why I'd betrayed my husband's family. I couldn't tell her the truth. Couldn't explain that I'd married into the mob to survive and had spent a year gathering evidence to destroy them. When it was over, Adrian and I were relocated to Portland, Oregon. New names, Emma and Daniel Foster. New lives. He opened a small bookstore. I taught legal writing at a community college. New normal that was quiet and safe and unrecognizable from the life we'd left. Lorenzo was somewhere else. Different identity. Different life. We'd never see him again. One night, 2 years after leaving New York, Adrian and I were closing the bookstore. Rain outside, the soft glow of lamps inside, surrounded by books and coffee and peace. He said, "Do you regret it? Any of it?" I thought about it. About Marcus. About the impossible choices. About becoming Mrs. Lupo to survive, and then destroying everything to be free. No, I don't regret it. I regret Marcus died. I regret it took so long to get justice. But I don't regret you. Even though I lied. Even though you lied. Because you also told the truth when it counted. You helped me burn down your entire family. You chose me over everything. I kissed him, soft and real. That counts for something. Does it count enough that you'll stay married to me? Emma Foster sounds weird without Daniel Foster next to it. I laughed. "Yeah, I'll stay married to you. But fair warning, if you ever lie to me again, I will absolutely destroy you." I'd expect nothing less. We locked up the bookstore, walked home through Portland rain, two people with fake names and real love, living quiet lives that felt earned. Justice for Marcus had taken years and cost everything, but it had been worth it. Freedom was worth it. Love that wasn't built on lies was worth it. And every morning when I woke up next to Adrian, Daniel now, always Daniel in this new life, I reminded myself that sometimes the only way to fight monsters was to become part of their world long enough to burn it down from the inside. I'd done that. We'd done that, and somehow, impossibly, we'd survived. That was enough. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed Sofia and Adrian's journey from deception to justice, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. Did you think Sofia would actually go through with marrying into the mob? Or were you surprised by her long game strategy? I love hearing your thoughts on these morally complex romance stories. Subscribe for more stories exploring what happens when love and danger collide, and how far people will go to protect each other and find justice. Drop a comment with what you'd like to see next. Maybe another organized crime romance, or something completely different. Your input shapes what I create. Thanks for being here.